Rebecca, so glad to talk with you today. Would you start by taking a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure. It's great to be here, Mira. My name is Rebecca Malotke-Meslin, and I am the founder of Pleasantly Aggressive Coaching and Consulting. I am a leadership coach for women leaders working in schools and nonprofits. I specifically work with women who are early to middle of their careers and are looking for additional support in the work that they do as leaders in that nonprofit space. I'm also a professional speaker, so I love speaking on topics related to women in leadership at conferences and events and within organizations to help bridge the gap that exists for women who want to move into higher level leadership positions.
And one thing that we've talked about, Rebecca, is kind of counterintuitive. It's this idea for those emerging and early career leaders, this idea of leadership by subtraction. What do you mean by leadership by subtraction?
Well, leadership by subtraction is this idea that in order to make room for new ideas and really growth, we need to continuously evaluate what we do to determine where we can subtract or eliminate programs and processes and tasks. Specifically in schools, we're really good at adding new events and new programs. And this is usually related to our desire to meet our bigger goals, right? So we've set a strategic plan and now we think, oh, we got to do all this new stuff to meet these strategic goals. But rarely do we talk about the subtraction piece of it, right? At the same rate that we're adding. And I think individuals do the same thing. So they think about their career goals or think about their leadership goals and they think about all the things they want to add. So it's adding more and more without any subtraction. And this really creates a sustainability problem.
Yeah, and what you're saying makes sense, but why do you find it so hard for leaders to actually do that subtraction?
Well, we equate subtraction with letting people down. If you're ending a tradition or you're no longer teaching a specific book as part of a middle school curriculum or you're reimagining Grandparents' Day, all of these things I've seen happen on campuses, right? It can conjure these fears that we have that our donors or our alumni, whatever our key stakeholders are, maybe it's even faculty, will be upset and potentially withdraw support, right? And morale is something that we're thinking about constantly. And so it assumes that there's room in the budget and everyone's schedule to just keep adding. And we're doing it really out of fear that if we subtract, we're going to lose, right? That morale, we're going to lose that support. And I think as individuals, we internalize that same mentality. And so if you're thinking about letting go of something that's specific to you as a leader, so maybe that's being a club advisor or being on a committee, and you think about stepping away from it, you worry like, if I don't do it, who will? And it really doesn't allow you the space to make room for your own growth because there's only so much that you can manage. So it just reinforces this notion that we wear a lot of hats. We hear this all the time from leaders at schools, and we're really functioning out of guilt and fear that comes with the thought of stepping back from impactful work, right? And we love that our leaders want to be impactful, and they need to think about subtraction as a strategy for that impact, right? And how they can create more bandwidth to do the work without burning out and with the growth that they're looking for.
Makes a ton of sense that we need to subtract as much as we add, that it's hard to do that subtraction. So if it's important for our growth as leaders, how would you recommend folks begin this journey of subtraction?
Well, I think first it's just having a conversation like this where we just acknowledge that maybe we've done a lot of adding and not a lot of subtracting. And then as you start to go deeper into that and maybe face some of those fears or worries that you have is, the next time that something new is, offered to you or you're pursuing something new, whether that's, a program or an individual commitment, is to start by auditing your current list of responsibilities, right? So do all of your tasks and responsibilities tie to your departmental goals? Is everything that you're doing tied to a goal? And if it's individual, does it support your career goals? Right. And if that's not a clear answer, if you're really unsure about it, you have to start collecting evidence. I don't want folks making this decision haphazardly. I want them to do it with evidence. So maybe that's talking to a supervisor or a mentor or a trusted colleague to just discuss, hey, I've been doing this for a long time. Maybe it's time for somebody else to have an opportunity to do it, right? To step back. Or maybe it's run its course and we have X, Y, or Z evidence. And let's talk through that as to why that might be a good idea. But I think it's really important to think about, your responsibilities before you start adding more on, and think about it like crafting a journey, and that requires us to figure out what needs to be subtracted or eliminated.
Thanks. Love that idea. Don't not crowding your journey with more responsibilities, but crafting it with the right ones. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I hope we all will be subtracting a little bit more in 2026.
Thanks, Mira.